Supposing you wake up in the morning, and it's a lovely morning. Let's take today, and the illusion of a circle is created, whereas there is only the one point of fire. The argument then is, so long as you're in the present, there aren't any problems. Things just do what they do. It's just like that. A really virtuous person doesn't show his virtue. Well, there's a poem in Chinese which says, entering the forest, he doesn't disturb a blade of grass. Entering the water, he doesn't make a ripple. He looks very ordinary, and so his virtue can't be detected. He doesn't stink of virtue. So now, when it comes to Daoism, this is a point of view that becomes explicit in Chinese history. It used to be said that Lao Tzu was originally thought to have been a contemporary of Confucius, who lived between 600 and 500 BC. But the general weight of scholarly opinion today is that the Lao Tzu book is about 400. And the book is called the Tao Te Ching. And so Jing in Chinese means a classical book or scripture. Tao is usually translated the way, but I would prefer to call it the course of nature. And De means virtue, but in the sense that we use the word virtue when we say the healing virtue of a plant. And water is very often used by Lao Tzu to give the idea of Tao, because water always takes the line of least resistance. Water is very soft, and yet one of the strongest things in the world. You can chop water with a sword, but leave no wound. So what everybody wants to know then is how to acquire that great naturalness. How do you do it? Wu Wei. Wei means to act, to strain, to strive, or to interfere. And so the Taoist manner of life is Wu Wei. Don't force it. Always go with the stream. You may need to use a rudder, but don't ever go against the stream. If you are swimming and you're caught in a very strong current, you'll be lost if you try to swim against it. You must swim with it and edge to the side. That's De, you see, that's magical power. But it all comes about through not using effort, not straining at anything, never strain.
The more you try to control things, the more you will find that you are being controlled yourself. Let go, and the whole universe flows through you.
We live in a society that worships control. From the moment we are born, we are taught that life is a series of problems to solve, challenges to overcome, and goals to achieve. We believe that the more we organize, plan, and hold tightly to the reins of our existence, the safer and happier we will become. And yet, as we grow older, a strange contradiction emerges. The more we try to control life, the more life seems to resist us. The harder we grip, the faster it slips away. It is almost comical when you think about it. Consider the way we structure our days, meticulously planning every hour, anticipating every potential outcome, and attempting to predict the unpredictable. We wake up each morning with a mental checklist, a blueprint for how the day should unfold. And yet, in a single moment, the unexpected appears: a traffic jam, a delayed message, a sudden illness, and our carefully laid plans unravel. Frustration arises, and we label this as bad luck, when in reality, it is merely life refusing to be tamed. Control, as it turns out, is not a mastery of reality. It is an illusion, a mental construct that gives the appearance of stability while masking the inherent unpredictability of existence. We cling to it because it feels safe. We cling because to acknowledge the lack of control is to confront uncertainty, and uncertainty is terrifying. Yet the paradox is that this very attempt to hold tightly creates tension, anxiety, and fear. The more we try to secure life, the more fragile it becomes. Think of a child learning to walk. The child takes their first tentative steps, falling repeatedly, scraping knees, and wobbling with each attempt. The parent watches, worried, perhaps even wanting to intervene and prevent the stumbles. Yet, the child learns not through control or interference, but through experience, through trial and error, through the very act of letting the body and the world interact freely. This is life's natural way. The parent cannot stop every fall, just as we cannot stop the events of the universe from unfolding. The river does not pause to ask your permission before it flows. The wind does not stop for you to adjust your plans. The sun rises and sets without concern for your schedules or desires. And yet, there is a strange harmony in all of this, a rhythm that persists regardless of our attempts to manipulate it. When we resist this flow, we experience suffering. When we surrender, we experience life. Consider the metaphor of the river. We often stand on the banks, attempting to push the water in a direction we desire, thinking that by shaping it, we can achieve our goals. And yet, the river will always carve its own path, indifferent to our efforts. To fight the current is exhausting, painful, and ultimately fruitless. But to enter the river, to move with it rather than against it, is to discover a freedom that cannot be grasped through force. This is the essence of the illusion of control. It is the belief that we can bend life to our will, when in reality, life is a river and we are merely travelers. It is not only external events we attempt to control, but also our inner world. We strive to manage our thoughts, suppress our emotions, and shape our identities into something stable and permanent. Yet the mind is a flowing river as well, constantly moving, changing, and evolving, attempting to hold a single thought, to cage a feeling, or to solidify a sense of self is like trying to trap water in your hands. It slips away, leaving only frustration and a sense of inadequacy. We must recognize that control is often a response to fear. We fear the unknown, the unpredictable, the unplanned. We fear that if we let go, we will lose ourselves, we will be swept away, we will fall into chaos. But the truth is that life is chaotic anyway. To cling is to resist the inevitable. To release is to embrace reality. There is a liberation in understanding that the need for control is optional, that it is a habit of the mind, not a requirement of existence. Let us consider the human desire for security. We work tirelessly to secure jobs, relationships, wealth, and possessions, believing that these external anchors will protect us from uncertainty. And yet, no matter how much we accumulate, the impermanence of life remains. Jobs end, relationships change, wealth can vanish, and bodies age. Security, when it is external, is always provisional. True stability is found not in controlling life, but in understanding its nature and participating fully in its flow. History is filled with examples of people who sought total control only to discover its futility. Emperors, kings, and rulers have tried to bend entire nations to their will, yet time, disease, and unforeseen events have always undermined their efforts. The lesson is clear. No matter how much power we accumulate, the universe remains unconcerned with our ambitions. The only freedom is to acknowledge this truth and live in accordance with it. This does not mean we become passive or indifferent. Participation in life is necessary, yet it is participation without attachment to outcomes. It is action guided by insight, not fear. It is engagement that is responsive rather than coercive, fluid rather than rigid. It is the difference between dancing with life and trying to wrestle it into submission. When we release the illusion of control, something profound happens. We become present. We notice the subtle textures of experience, the rustling of leaves, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter. Life becomes vivid, alive, and immediate. We discover that the need to control often distracts us from the very experiences we seek to secure. By letting go, we are no longer trapped in anxiety about the future or regret over the past. We are free to encounter the world as it is, in all its beauty and unpredictability. And so, the first step toward freedom is awareness. Recognize the illusions you hold, the attempts at control that bind you, the fears that drive your grip. Observe them without judgment. Understand that these impulses are natural yet not necessary. Begin to loosen your hold, even in small ways. Let a conversation unfold without planning every word. Let a day pass without trying to predict every outcome. Let yourself feel fully without attempting to shape or suppress what arises. The journey is gradual. Letting go is not a single act but a continuous practice, a dance between effort and surrender. Each moment offers a chance to release a little more, to trust a little more, to participate more fully in the flow of life. The illusion of control begins to dissolve, replaced by a quiet, steady presence. And in that presence, a freedom emerges, a freedom that cannot be given, taken, or lost, because it was never bound in the first place. To understand why letting go feels right, we must first understand what it means to let go. Letting go is often misunderstood as giving up, as surrendering in defeat, as stepping away from life. But in truth, letting go is the acknowledgement of reality. It is the recognition that life is not a problem to solve, but a mystery to be experienced. It is the act of opening our hands, not to relinquish life, but to allow life to flow through us, unimpeded and unshaped by fear. Imagine standing in a forest. The trees rise high, each one unique, bending in the wind without resistance. The birds sing without rehearsal. The stream moves without effort. You cannot command these things, and yet they exist in harmony. The forest does not try to control itself. It's simply island. In observing this, something awakens within you. You sense the ease, the rhythm, the natural order of things. And you begin to understand that the act of controlling is not necessary for existence. It is participation, awareness, and presence that matter. Letting go is not about abandoning responsibility. It is about releasing the belief that we can enforce outcomes or cling to permanence. It is the difference between holding life like a fist and holding it like a hand open to the sky. The open hand does not resist. It does not suffocate. It allows, it receives, it participates. When we practice this in our daily lives, we find that life no longer feels like a battle, but like a dance. Each movement, whether expected or unforeseen, is part of the rhythm. Consider our emotions. We often try to control feelings, to suppress anger, sadness, or fear, believing that these states are dangerous or undesirable. And yet, by resisting them, we amplify them. By letting go, by acknowledging and feeling without judgment, we discover that emotions are like waves. They rise, they crest, they fall. They do not define us. They move through us. Letting go in this context means allowing the wave to pass rather than clinging to it or trying to stop it. In relationships, letting go means allowing others to be themselves without attempting to mold them into our expectations. It means loving without possession, listening without trying to fix, and participating without attachment. The freedom that arises from this openness is profound. Relationships transform from battles of control into spaces of genuine connection, understanding, and mutual respect. The world often tempts us to control, to predict, to plan. Yet the universe operates according to principles far greater than our design. Storms will arrive, paths will change, and life will surprise us in ways we cannot anticipate. Letting go does not mean ignoring these events. It means meeting them with a mind unbound by fear, with a heart open to possibility. It is the conscious decision to engage fully while acknowledging the limits of our power. Why does letting go feel right? Because it aligns us with the natural order. When we stop fighting against what is, tension dissipates. The mind relaxes, the heart opens, and we experience a sense of spaciousness. There is a subtle joy in this surrender, a quiet delight that arises from the recognition that we are not in charge, and that this is not only acceptable but beautiful. Imagine a bird learning to fly. It does not cling to the branch forever. At some point, it must leap, trusting its wings, trusting the air, trusting the process. Life, in this sense, is always asking us to take flight, to let go of the false safety of control, and to trust the journey. When we leap, we discover that the world supports us in ways we could not have imagined. We are carried, held, and guided by the flow of existence. Letting go also reveals the richness of the present moment. When we are no longer preoccupied with controlling the future or clinging to the past, we notice the subtleties of life, the laughter of a friend, the warmth of sunlight, the quiet rhythm of our own breath. Life, in all its simplicity and complexity, is fully present. And in being fully present, we discover a profound contentment that no amount of control can provide. The practice of letting go is continuous. It requires awareness, courage, and patience. Each day, we are presented with opportunities to release small grips, to loosen our hold, to trust more deeply. Over time, these small acts accumulate, transforming our experience of life. The illusion of control fades, replaced by a steady, gentle confidence in the flow of existence. In letting go, we find that life itself is enough. We do not need to manipulate, to engineer, or to dominate. The world is alive, vibrant, and unfolding in its own way. By surrendering the need to control, we participate in a dance far greater than ourselves. We discover freedom, joy, and an effortless presence that cannot be manufactured, only realized. So release. Release with trust, release with curiosity, release with love. Allow life to move through you, shaping and guiding you in ways your mind could never anticipate. In this letting go, you will find that you are not losing anything, you are gaining everything. A life lived fully, freely, and beautifully.
There is an old saying that the truth will set you free, but before it frees you, stands free. It will be the man who carried the burden of truth all along. Not long ago, I spoke with a young man. He sat across from me, leaning forward in his chair, fidgeting with his hands, as though still running, even while seated. There was nothing particularly unusual about him. He was not a failure, nor a beggar, nor a saint. He was, in many respects, the kind of man you might pass on the street and not think twice about. He had a decent job, friends who liked him, a family who cared for him. But underneath the surface of his life, there was a deep and gnawing unease. As he spoke, I noticed his eyes kept darting around the room, as though chasing some invisible fly. He told me, I can't remember the last time I felt present. Even when I sit with my child, laughing, I find myself worrying about bills. Even in bed at night, I'm planning the next week, the next year. I don't feel here, I feel somewhere else. And you see, I told him something I'll tell you as well. His story is not his alone. It belongs to every one of us. In fact, I promised him that I would share it, not because his story is dramatic or unique, but precisely because it is ordinary. It is the common story of human beings in the modern world. But I won't tell you the ending just yet, because the part that matters most can only be understood once we take the journey together. The ending only makes sense if you walk with me through the questions that haunted him, and perhaps haunt you as well. So let us set his story aside for now, like a bookmark placed in a well-worn book. We will return to it before long. Now, let us ask the question, why is it that the present moment, which is all we ever truly have, feels so difficult to remain in? It should be the most natural thing in the world. After all, where else could you possibly be? You are not in yesterday except in thought. You are not in tomorrow, except in imagination. In reality, you are here, breathing, listening. Life is unfolding before your very eyes. And yet, for some reason, we resist it. We slip away from now as though it was something dangerous. The young man, when he sat at the dinner table with his child, should have found delight in the simple sound of laughter, the warmth of food, the ordinary blessing of being alive. But instead, his mind buzzed with the unfinished tasks of the day, the upcoming worries of the week, the endless pressure to prepare for a life he had not yet lived. And so it is with us. We live in the present as though it were a waiting room for the future. The mind whispers, not this, something else, something more. Why? Why do we resist what is, in fact, the only reality? It is because the present moment is too real, too raw, too unedited. To be here fully means to face yourself without distraction, to admit that this is your life, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And that realization frightens us. Because if this moment is all there is, then there is no more postponing your happiness. There is no guarantee of another chance. There is only this. And that feels unbearably final. So we run. We hide in memory. We build castles in imagination. We live in a perpetual elsewhere, convinced that one day, when conditions are just right, we will finally arrive. But life does not work that way. Life is always now, never then. The young man told me that whenever he tried to sit still, to meditate, or simply to be, he felt restless, agitated, almost as though something was wrong. He couldn't bear the silence. He couldn't bear the presence of his own mind. So he reached for his phone, or switched on the television, or threw himself into his work, anything to escape the unbearable weight of being here. And perhaps you know that feeling too. Perhaps you have tried to pause, and within seconds your mind fills with worries or regrets, or that peculiar sense that you should be doing something else. We call it boredom, but what it really is fear. Fear of facing ourselves. This is why so much of our culture is built upon distraction, endless entertainment, constant stimulation, a new headline, a new message, a new piece of information to devour. Because in silence, in stillness, the truth of now comes rushing in, and we find it overwhelming. But I want you to notice something subtle. To resist something is already to be in relationship with it. The very fact that you feel restless in the present moment means you are already brushing against it. The discomfort is not proof that you are far away, it is proof that you are close. Like standing at the edge of the ocean, where the waves lap at your feet, the resistance is a sign that the water is near. Now, I must pause here, because I want to say something important. If you have ever felt this restlessness, this inability to stay present, you are not alone. And this is why I speak at all. We are building, slowly, a small circle of people willing to look at these questions together, to admit the difficulty and not run from it. If you feel resonance with this, then you are already part of that circle. The resistance we feel toward the present is not simply personal, it is cultural. From childhood, we are trained to chase. We are taught that life is about progress, about becoming, about achieving. We delay gratification, we set goals, we measure ourselves by the future. And so when someone says, be here now, it feels almost like nonsense. It feels unnatural, because we have been conditioned to believe that the real treasure always lies just over the next hill. But what happens when we actually reach the hill? Have you noticed? The goal achieved, the desire fulfilled, the box ticked, how quickly the satisfaction fades. And once again, the mind says, not this, something more. This is the cycle the young man found himself in. He would complete a project at work, only to feel anxious about the next one. He would save some money, only to feel it was never enough. He would sit with his family, only to feel guilty that he was not planning better for their future. The poor fellow was never here, and so he was never at peace. But there is a hidden gift in this recognition. For the very dissatisfaction you feel with running endlessly forward is itself the beginning of awakening. To notice that you are not here, to see clearly that you are resisting, is already a step closer to presence. It means you have begun to wake from the dream of elsewhere. And so I said to the young man, what you seek is not in the distance, it is not in tomorrow, it is not in the perfection of your plans. It is right here, in the very moment you are running from. He shook his head. Of course, he said he couldn't see it. That is natural. Because the truth of this cannot be given in words. It must be discovered in experience. That is why his story does not end here, for his discovery came later in an unexpected moment, and I will share that with you. But only once we have looked deeper into the nature of this resistance. For unless you understand why we all flee the present, his story will not make sense. So let us keep walking. Let us examine together why humanity, for all its brilliance, has built its entire life upon the illusion of elsewhere. For until we see the root of this madness, we will never be free. Why is it that we resist the present moment with such persistence? It is because the present moment is the one thing we cannot bend to our will. You may alter the memory of the past in your imagination. You may plan for the future and dream of what is to come. But the present arrives uninvited, unpolished, untamed. It comes in its own clothing, and it does not ask your permission. To surrender to it is to admit that you are not in charge, and this, more than anything else, terrifies us. Think again of the young man, the restless one who could not sit still at his dinner table. He wanted, with all his might, to be a good father, a good worker, a decent man. These are noble desires. But beneath them was the hidden demand for control, the quiet belief that if only he did everything right, life would turn out according to plan. So when he sat with his child, he was not present. Because presence admits uncertainty, and uncertainty is unbearable for the mind that seeks control. But here lies the paradox. The only true stability comes from releasing our grip on control. The river cannot be conquered by trying to dam it up. It is far too powerful, too alive. The river teaches you only one way: to float, to let go, to allow yourself to be carried by its current. In the same way, the present moment becomes not frightening, but wondrous when you stop resisting its flow. The young man, in his restless evenings, imagined that if he let go of striving, he would collapse into passivity. He worried that if he stopped planning, he would fail his family. Won't I lose my drive, he asked. Perhaps you've asked this yourself. It is a common fear. But you see, when you release the exhausting grip of control, you do not lose energy, you gain it. You stop leaking your life force into endless anxiety. Instead, your actions rise up naturally, like a spring bubbling from the ground. You dance, not because you must, but because you are moved by the music itself. Now, pause for a moment and notice something. You are listening to these words right now. This, in itself, is proof that you can give your attention wholly to one thing. You may already feel, however faintly, that something in this reflection resonates with your own life. And this recognition is important because when you find yourself saying, yes, I know this, you are not just hearing me, you are hearing yourself. That resonance is the thread that ties us together. And you see, that is what this little circle is about. We gather here not as isolated minds, but as a kind of quiet community, reminding one another of what is easily forgotten, that there is no someday, there is only today. But let us return to the man. for his story is the key. One evening, after a long day at work, his mind buzzing with the usual anxieties, he sat down to dinner. His child climbed into his lap, laughing about some small and silly thing, as children do. For a moment, the young man's mind began to slip away, drifting back into bills, into deadlines, into plans. But then something remarkable happened. He caught himself. He saw with piercing clarity that he was about to miss this very moment. And instead of letting his mind run, he stayed. He simply stayed. For a few breaths, he allowed himself to drop the resistance. And in those breaths, he felt the warmth of his child against his chest, heard the laughter as though for the first time, smelled the food on the table, saw the ordinary miracle of life unfolding in front of him. And he wept. He wept because he realized that he had been running from this for years. The present had not been absent. It was always here, waiting patiently. The only thing missing was his willingness to arrive. When he told me this later, he said it felt like falling into a river, terrifying at first, but then strangely liberating. He discovered that life did not collapse when he let go of control. In fact, it became fuller, richer, more alive than he had ever known. He discovered that the very thing he had been chasing, peace, contentment, joy, was not in the distance at all. It was in the simple act of being here. And this is where the teaching comes alive. For the resistance you feel toward the present moment is not an enemy, it is a teacher. The restlessness, the agitation, the endless chase, these are not signs that you are broken. They are signs that you are human. They are the invitation to awaken. So I say to you, do not condemn yourself for resisting. Notice it. Hold it gently. Realize that in the very act of noticing, you have already stepped closer to presence. The resistance is like the ringing of a bell, reminding you that now is calling. And here is the secret the young man discovered. Once you begin to allow even a sliver of the present in life, rushes in to meet you. You need not force it. You need only stop running. Now, you might ask, what does it mean to live this way? It does not mean abandoning plans or refusing to care for tomorrow. It means not using tomorrow as an escape from today. You may plant seeds, but you do not live in the harvest. You live in the planting itself. You may dream, but you do not flee into dreams. You root yourself here in the ordinary miracle of breath and laughter and sunlight. And the wonderful thing is that when you do, the future often takes care of itself, because the best preparation for tomorrow is not anxiety today, but presence today. From presence, wise action arises. From presence, you respond to life rather than react to it. The young man learned this slowly, not in one grand epiphany, but in countless small moments. Each time he noticed his mind running away, he gently returned, like a father guiding a child back to the table. And each time, he found that the present was not frightening after all. It was tender. It was alive. And so it is with you. The door back to now is never locked. It does not require years of effort. It requires only the willingness to step through it, again and again, whenever you remember. And perhaps, in this very moment, you can feel it. The weight of the chair beneath you, the rhythm of your breathing, the simple fact of being alive. This is the doorway. And once you notice it, you are already through. Now, before we close, I want to say this. What you and I are doing here is not an isolated act. It is part of something larger. More and more people are beginning to wake from the dream of someday. And in that awakening, we are forming a kind of invisible community, a gathering around the fire of presence. You may not see the others, but you are not alone. We are all here together in this moment. And that, perhaps, is the greatest gift. Because the young man's story is not only his, it is yours It is mine. It is the story of every human being who has ever wrestled with the restless mind and discovered, at last, the peace of simply being. So let me leave you with this. The ending of his story is not an ending at all. It is a beginning. For every time you choose to arrive in the present, you begin again, and life, in its inexhaustible generosity, will always meet you here. You see, everyone, everywhere, is looking for the secret of happiness, the secret of success, the secret of love, and of course, the secret of life itself. And the marvelous joke, the one hiding in plain sight, is that the secret is so simple, you overlook it. It's so close, you can't see it. So ordinary, you call it unimportant. The secret of life is simply to be alive. That's it. That's the punchline. But when I say that, almost peaceful, almost free. But the truth is that what you are seeking is what you already are. The ego hates that truth. It resists it. Because if you stop chasing, the ego loses its game. It thrives only in striving, in comparison, in the endless ladder climbing of becoming someone. To simply be well, that's the end of the ego. And so it distracts you with future promises and past regrets, keeping you from the simplicity of the present. This is why I often say life is a game of hide and seek. The universe hides from itself by pretending to be you. And then, through little glimpses, through moments of laughter or wonder, it finds itself again. And when you see this, truly see it, you can't help but laugh. Because you realize you've been searching for something you could never lose. You've been trying to become what you already are. The seeker was the sought. The player was the game. The question was the answer. And then all the heaviness, the seriousness of the search falls away. Life is revealed not as a problem to be solved, but as a song to be sung, a dance to be danced, a mystery to be enjoyed rather than explained. So then, what does it mean to be alive? It means to feel this breath, to hear the hum of existence right now. It means to taste your food when you eat it, instead of thinking about tomorrow's menu. It means to walk without rushing to arrive, to speak without rehearsing what comes next, to look without searching for meaning. To be alive is not an achievement. It is awareness itself. It is this. But most of us are so busy chasing that we forget to notice. We live as though life were elsewhere, always waiting for us, just beyond the horizon. But tomorrow never comes. There is only ever this eternal now. So what do? You stop grasping. You stop clutching. Life cannot be held like property. It can only be received like a gift. When you open your hand, the water rests gently in your palm. When you open your heart, life reveals itself without effort. You don't have to force it. You don't have to deserve it. You simply have to notice it. And when you do, you see the secret was never hidden at all. Alive, always alive. Even when we forget, even when we chase, even when we doubt, life does not withhold itself. It is what you are. And the moment you recognize that, the search ends. And in ending, a new kind of play begins. You've never experienced non-existence. Never. Not before you were born, not now, not ever. And when the time comes for this body to return to the earth, what makes you so sure you will experience it as an absence? We imagine death as darkness, as nothingness. But notice even darkness is something. Even nothing is an idea. And if you have never known nothing, why should you assume it is waiting for you? The truth is, life and death are not opposites. They are like front and back, up and down, in and out. They imply each other. You cannot have one without the other. To be alive is already to be woven with death, just as the crest of a wave is woven with the trough. And once you see this, you stop clinging so tightly. because you realize the point is not to avoid endings. The point is to dance while the music is playing. You see, we take life far too seriously. We behave as though the whole affair were a military operation, with objectives and strategies and missions to be accomplished. But life is not a business. It is not a school exam. It is not a courtroom where you are being judged. Life is more like a piece of jazz. It has structure, yes, but within it, endless improvisation. The meaning of jazz is not at the end of the song, but in the playing. The joy is in the riff, the unexpected twist, the laughter of the musicians when someone plays a note that surprises the others. And so it is with life. The meaning is in the improvisation, the surprises, the sheer fact that it is happening at all. But you will miss this music if you are always listening for the finale. You will miss it if you are too busy proving yourself. You will miss it if you are staring at the clock, waiting for something more important to begin. The great insight, then, is not that life contains a hidden purpose. The great insight is that life is the purpose. To be alive is the miracle. Everything else is decoration. When you stop to notice this, everything becomes luminous. The ordinary shines. A cup of tea, steam curling in the light, becomes a sacred event. The sound of the wind through the trees becomes music. Even the act of breathing, which you've been doing your whole life without thought, becomes astonishing. And then you realize the secret of life was never locked away in monasteries or scriptures. It was always here, in the utterly obvious fact of existence. But our trouble is, we take the obvious for granted. We chase the exotic and ignore the simple. We look for God in the heavens while missing the miracle of our own heartbeat. And perhaps this is why sages have always spoken in paradox, in riddles, in laughter. Because when you point directly to the truth, people refuse to see it. But when you dress it up in a cosmic joke, suddenly it sneaks past the defenses of the mind. So, what do you do now? You live, you play, you laugh, you allow yourself to be astonished. You realize you are not a separate little creature trapped inside a bag of skin. You are the universe itself, pretending for a while to be this person with this name, this story, this body. And when this particular act of the play is over, the curtain doesn't fall on life itself. It only falls on this scene. The show goes on in endless forms, endless disguises, endless rhythms. You don't need to know what comes next. That's part of the fun. If you already knew the ending, it would spoil the game. The surprise is the point. And so, trust the dance, trust the music. Don't try to clutch it or control it. Let it carry you. Because the secret of life was never hidden. It was always here, waiting for you to notice. So, laugh at the absurdity, sing along with the melody, and remember, the secret is not in some distant future. The secret is this: to be alive now, fully, playfully, completely. Alive, always alive. Even in change, even in loss, even in the mystery. Because what you are is life itself, and life never ends. There comes a peculiar moment in one's life when joy simply vanishes. Not suddenly, like a door slamming shut, but gradually, like a room dimming without anyone touching the lights. You look around and everything is technically the same. The people you used to laugh with are still there. The hobbies you loved still exist. The world has not changed its shape. And yet, you feel as though something essential has slipped quietly out of your hands. You wake up and the day feels flat. You sit among things that used to spark curiosity and nothing happens. You listen to music that once made your chest bloom with feeling, and it now passes through you like wind through an empty house. Conversations feel muffled. Activities feel distant. Even happiness feels like a memory someone else once told you. You begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why does nothing bring me joy anymore? This is perhaps one of the most frightening questions a human being can face, because it touches the deepest fear of all, the fear that something in you has broken. But what if the opposite is true? What if nothing brings you joy because something in you is finally working? You see, joy is not something you manufacture. It is something that arises naturally when you are aligned with your own life. It comes uninvited, like a bird singing on your windowsill. You don't have to force it, and you certainly don't have to chase it. Joy is the fragrance of a life lived from the center of oneself. So, when joy disappears, it is not because you have failed. It is because something in you is shifting. Something is dissolving. Something is releasing its grip. There is a phase of awakening that no one likes to talk about. A phase where the colors of life fade, the meaning drains out of your ambitions, and the things you once depended on for emotional nourishment no longer satisfy you. You feel empty, unmoved, disconnected, as though the world has stepped away from you. But what has really happened is that you have stepped away from the world you created before you understood yourself. The numbness you feel is not the death of joy. It is the death of stimulation, the death of distraction, the death of an identity that was built to cope, to perform, to impress, to survive. You cannot find joy because you are no longer resonating with the version of yourself that used to seek it. Now, this stage feels terribly confusing. You may think you are depressed, or apathetic, or emotionally dull, but numbness is not a malfunction. Numbness is a signal. It means your inner system is shutting down outdated pathways. It is refusing to sustain the old narrative. It is pulling you inward, away from noise and toward truth. Imagine you are holding a cup filled with muddy water. The more you swirl it, the murkier it becomes. But if you allow it to become still, the sediment sinks. Clarity emerges from quiet, not from motion. In the same way, your joy sinks when life is asking you to be still, not because joy is gone, but because clarity needs space to surface. The absence of emotion is not the beginning of despair. It is the beginning of purification. You see, the universe is remarkably intelligent, far more intelligent than the thinking mind. And when the life you have been living no longer matches the truth of who you are becoming, the universe does a very gentle thing. It withdraws your excitement for that life. It takes away your enthusiasm, your craving, your emotional reward system, not to punish you, but to guide you toward a larger horizon. You cannot stay in old rooms once your soul has outgrown them. But because humans fear stillness, you interpret this withdrawal as a problem. You chase joy harder, only to feel it slip further through your hands. You try to recreate old pleasures, revive old habits, repeat old patterns, but joy does not return. And the more you force, the more exhausted you become. You begin to ask, why can't I feel anything? But stillness is not nothingness. It is information. It is your inner being saying, you must stop now. You must listen. You must see what is really happening. The collapse of joy is the first sign that the old you is dissolving. The identity you built to survive your childhood, or to satisfy society, or to earn validation, or to keep yourself safe, its time has run out. And the dissolution of an identity always feels like the dissolution of feeling, because for a moment, you do not know who you are supposed to be. You are no longer the person you once were, but not yet the person you are becoming. This in-between space is emotionally quiet, and in the quiet, joy hides. Not because joy has left, but because it belongs to the self you are growing into, not the self you are shedding. Now, some people try to escape this phase. They try to feel something, anything, through distraction. They seek stimulation, drama, high highs, low lows, anything to convince themselves they are still alive. They fear the quiet because the quiet feels like emptiness. But emptiness is misunderstood. Emptiness is not the absence of life. It is the clearing of space for life to enter. It is the moment the soil is turned before new seeds are planted. You cannot grow anything on ground that is cluttered with old roots. So life uproots you. It empties you of old joy so that new joy can take root. This process is not comfortable, but it is necessary because the joy you used to feel was not deep enough. It was joy based on external stimulation, joy based on identity, joy that depended on circumstances going your way, joy that could be taken from you. Life wants something more stable for you, something deeper, something that comes from within rather than from the world. And so it takes away the old joy, so you can discover a joy that rises from presence, not performance. And this transition is always prefaced by numbness. Before the heart can feel more, it must feel less. Before consciousness expands, it withdraws from the surface of things. Before the self awakens, it sleeps. This is why nothing brings you joy, because the part of you that used to chase joy is dissolving, and the part of you that will experience real joy has not yet fully awakened. Imagine a caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, there is a moment when it is neither one nor the other. It dissolves entirely into a kind of living soup, a formless in-between. If it were capable of emotion, it might say, "Nothing feels meaningful anymore. I don't know what I am. I feel like nothing." But the caterpillar is not dying. It is reorganizing. You are reorganizing. The numbness is your cocoon. The emptiness is your metamorphosis. You are not losing joy. You are losing the version of yourself that required the world to provide it. And here is something even more subtle. The universe often removes joy when you have been living on borrowed energy, when you have been pushing yourself, ignoring yourself, betraying yourself in small ways, when you have been moving too fast for too long, when your nervous system is exhausted beyond what you can consciously admit. Sometimes nothing brings you joy because your body is simply tired, tired of enduring, tired of pretending, tired of performing optimism, tired of carrying the weight of expectations and emotional obligations, tired of trying to survive without rest. And so joy shuts down, not as a failure, but as protection. Your system cannot run on empty forever. It forces stillness when you refuse to give it willingly. This is why joylessness feels like being underwater. The world is muted because you are being asked to rest. You are being asked to face the quiet truth of your own exhaustion. Now, the mind resists this fiercely. It says, "I shouldn't feel this way. I should be excited. I should be productive. I should be grateful." But the universe is not interested in your shoulds. It is only interested in your truth. And truth often arrives disguised as stillness, because only in stillness can you finally hear what your life has been trying to tell you. When joy collapses, meaning begins to loosen. The things that once held your identity together no longer feel solid. You begin to question who you are, what you want, what you believe, and why you have lived the way you have lived. This questioning is not a crisis. It is clarity. It is the beginning of authenticity. To awaken is to feel the collapse of borrowed meaning, the collapse of external joy, the collapse of the old self. To awaken is to pass through numbness on the way to truth. And here is the great paradox. Joy disappears because you are finally ready to feel real joy, not the joy of excitement, but the joy of being, not the joy of pleasure, but the joy of presence, not the joy of escape, but the joy of awareness. Real joy does not rise quickly. It rises slowly, like a tide. It rises from quiet, and before it rises, the shoreline must be cleared. This clearing is happening now. You are not broken. You are being prepared. You are not emotionally dead. You are emotionally resetting. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding yourself. The reason nothing brings you joy is because the old you can no longer be satisfied with the world that once comforted it. Your sensitivity is changing. Your awareness is deepening. Your soul is taking the steering wheel from your persona. And personas do not surrender joyfully. So the universe removes joy, it removes stimulation, it removes old meaning, it removes everything you used to lean on. And in that removal, you begin to stand on the ground of yourself for the first time. There is a point, usually after the numbness has lingered longer than you thought you could endure, when something almost imperceptible begins to shift. It does not arrive loudly. It does not announce itself with fireworks or dramatic emotion. It comes in the smallest way, so subtle that you nearly miss it. A moment where your breath feels slightly deeper. A moment where the world looks a touch less flat. A moment where a sound or a glimpse of light stirs something faint in your chest. It is not joy itself, but the space joy will return to. You see, before joy can return, the place inside you that receives joy has to be rebuilt. The old structure collapsed with your old identity, and you cannot feel joy through an identity that is dissolving. Joy cannot enter a house that is being rebuilt. The foundation must be cleared, the walls must be undone, the windows must be opened. This is the work that numbness does. Numbness is the renovation of the inner world. And once the renovation reaches a certain point, you begin to feel again. Not fully, not dramatically, but honestly. This is the first sign that you have entered the second phase of awakening. The phase where your emotional life begins to reorganize itself around presence rather than identity. You begin to sense that beneath the quiet, something is alive, something is breathing, something is waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it. You may wake up one morning and find that the silence feels less like emptiness and more like spaciousness. You may look at the sky and feel a faint recognition of beauty, not because the sky changed, but because your capacity to perceive it is returning. You may sit with yourself and feel a softness that was unavailable to you before. This is how the new joy approaches. Not as excitement, but as gentleness. Not as a high, but as a deepening. Joy begins to return as presence. Presence is the ability to inhabit your own life without the filter of expectation or fear. It is the ability to feel without interpreting, without managing, without controlling. Presence is the purest form of awareness. It is the ground of all real joy. Now, at first, this presence can feel unfamiliar. You are used to emotion arriving in waves, in highs and lows, in bursts of enthusiasm or disappointment. But presence brings a different flavor of experience. It is quieter, steadier, more patient. It does not intoxicate. It does not overwhelm. It simply reveals. And so joy shuts down, not as a failure, but as protection. Your system cannot run on empty forever. It forces stillness when you refuse to give it willingly. This is why joylessness feels like being underwater. The world is muted because you are being asked to rest. You are being asked to face the quiet truth of your own exhaustion. Now, the mind resists this fiercely. It says, I shouldn't feel this way. I should be excited. I should be productive. I should be grateful. But the universe is not interested in your shoulds. It is only interested in your truth. And truth often arrives disguised as stillness, because only in stillness can you finally hear what your life has been trying to tell you. When joy collapses, meaning begins to loosen. The things that once held your identity together no longer feel solid. You begin to question who you are, what you want, what you believe, and why you have lived the way you have lived. This questioning is not a crisis, it is clarity. It is the beginning of authenticity. To awaken is to feel the collapse of borrowed meaning, the collapse of external joy, the collapse of the old self. To awaken is to pass through numbness on the way to truth. And here is the great paradox. Joy disappears because you are finally ready to feel real joy. Not the joy of excitement, but the joy of being. Not the joy of pleasure, but the joy of presence. Not the joy of escape, but the joy of awareness. Real joy does not rise quickly. It rises slowly, like a tide. It rises from quiet, and before it rises, the shoreline must be cleared. This clearing is happening now. You are not broken. You are being prepared. You are not emotionally dead. You are emotionally resetting. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding yourself. The reason nothing brings you joy is because the old you can no longer be satisfied with the world that once comforted it. Your sensitivity is changing. Your awareness is deepening. Your soul is taking the steering wheel from your persona. And personas do not surrender joyfully. So the universe removes joy. It removes stimulation. It removes old meaning. It removes everything you used to lean on. And in that removal, you begin to stand on the ground of yourself for the first time. There is a point, usually after the numbness has lingered longer than you thought you could endure, when something almost imperceptible begins to shift. It does not arrive loudly. It does not announce itself with fireworks or dramatic emotion. It comes in the smallest way, so subtle that you nearly miss it. A moment where your breath feels slightly deeper. A moment where the world looks a touch less flat. A moment where a sound or a glimpse of light stirs something faint in your chest. It is not joy itself, but the space joy will return to. You see, before joy can return, the place inside you that receives joy has to be rebuilt. The old structure collapsed with your old identity, and you cannot feel joy through an identity that is dissolving. Joy cannot enter a house that is being rebuilt. The foundation must be cleared, the walls must be undone, the windows must be opened. This is the work that numbness does. Numbness is the renovation of the inner world. And once the renovation reaches a certain point, you begin to feel again. Not fully, not dramatically, but honestly. This is the first sign that you have entered the second phase of awakening. The phase where your emotional life begins to reorganize itself around presence rather than identity. You begin to sense that beneath the quiet, something is alive, something is breathing, something is waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it. You may wake up one morning and find that the silence feels less like emptiness and more like spaciousness. You may look at the sky and feel a faint recognition of beauty, not because the sky changed, but because your capacity to perceive it is returning. You may sit with yourself and feel a softness that was unavailable to you before. This is how the new joy approaches. Not as excitement, but as gentleness. Not as a high, but as a deepening. Joy begins to return as presence. Presence is the ability to inhabit your own life without the filter of expectation or fear. It is the ability to feel without interpreting, without managing, without controlling. Presence is the purest form of awareness. It is the ground of all real joy. Now, at first, this presence can feel unfamiliar. You are used to emotion arriving in waves, in highs and lows, in bursts of enthusiasm or disappointment. But presence brings a different flavor of experience. It is quieter, steadier, more patient. It does not intoxicate. It does not overwhelm. It simply reveals. You begin to see that joy was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to return. The return of joy is the return of truth, the return of alignment, the return of the part of you that was buried beneath effort and identity. It does not matter how long you have been numb. It does not matter how deeply you believe something was wrong with you. Life has been reorganizing you in the dark, preparing you, softening you, bringing you to a place where joy can be recognized again, not as a burst of emotion, but as the quiet radiance of being awake. You see, joylessness is not the opposite of joy. It is the purification of joy. It is the space where old meanings dissolve so new ones can emerge. It is the silence before the deeper life begins. And now you stand at the threshold of that deeper life, a life in which you do not chase feeling, but allow feeling, a life where you do not grasp at joy, but recognize joy in everything, a life where you understand that joy is not something you find, but something you become. Because when the old you falls away, and the noise dissolves, and the numbness clears, you discover something astonishing. Joy was never in the world. It was always in your awareness of the world, and now that awareness is being restored. Not as it was before, but as something new, something deeper, something clearer, something truer. What returns now is not excitement. What returns now is not stimulation. What returns now is the simple miracle of being alive. This is the joy that cannot be taken from you. This is the joy that arises when you stop chasing and begin listening. This is the joy that emerges when you finally meet your life without resistance. This is the joy that was waiting for you in the silence. And now, because you have passed through the numbness, because you have been emptied, because you have surrendered the old identity, you can finally feel what was here all along. A joy that does not shout, a joy that does not vanish, a joy that does not depend on anything, a joy that simply is. This is the return. This is the rebirth. This is the beginning of a life lived from the center of yourself. And this is where joy begins.